Oh, there it is.
Usually starts before we get it.
Okay, there it is.
Hello, YouTube. All 5 of you watching us right now. Well, let's get started on this.
Yep, just jump right into it.
And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 301. I'm your host, Blaine Putvay, and I'm joined now by my co-host, Matt Smith.
Good evening.
Treg Wilson is still with his family, so he will not be joining us tonight as we record post-game after the Anaheim Ducks paid a visit to the Canadiens, and the reverse retro jersey curse continues.
You can say that again. Awful.
The reverse retro jersey curse continues. Oh my God. So the show we recorded last night, we talked about the upcoming Anaheim game, and we mentioned it was a way to get themselves back on track. But I also mentioned that this was a trap game. And as Admiral Akbar said, it's a trap.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right.
Now, the final score 5-2 is not indicative of how close the game was up to the end of the game when it was a couple empty netters. But at the same time, it's kind of deserving to be a 5-2 game because the Canadiens absolutely looked like crap in the first 2 periods.
Yeah, it was the sloppiest 2 periods of hockey that they played. Just they couldn't string together a single pass. There was nothing. There was nothing. There was no life. There was no consistency. There was no forecheck. There was nothing. It was awful. It was awful hockey to watch. And the Canadiens fans that were at that game had every right to be booing throughout that whole sequence. The power play once again just absolutely dismal. And yes, I know Caulfield scored later in the game, which we'll get to, but the first 40 minutes, it was hard to draw any positives from that whatsoever.
Well, in the first 2 periods, the only positive that I saw was that nobody got hurt.
Yeah, that's always a positive.
I'm trying to find a silver lining.
Yeah.
I know Team Tank is super happy right now
with
how the game turned out.
They absolutely are.
And I understand you want the best draft position possible, but at the same time, my God, you want the team to show up and put on a show, put in the effort, play within the system that they're playing or the concepts that they're playing under St. Louis.
Right.
And actually make a game of it. Yeah. In this case, they only played 20 minutes.
Yeah. Like this one's going to hurt. This one just doesn't hurt, the Habs faithful, let's just call it that, not Team Tank. Team Tank celebrating and, popping bottles right now. But this was a game that at the end, honestly, at the end of this game, I really hope that somebody steps up in the locker room and says something and says, guys, we just lost to the worst team in the league. And we were made to look like fools in front of our home fans. We were going against a third string goalie. Stollers wasn't playing, and even it was Ollie Eriksson Ek that was the backup, so Stollers wasn't even there. John Gibson got hurt during the Leafs game, so you had the third and fourth string goalie there. This was the time to just play light 'em up goaltender. And as you said, through 40 minutes, no pressure, no chances, no nothing, until Caulfield finally got the one, at which Dostal actually read that play. I thought he actually initially made the save.
He did read the play. He was making his move, but he was too slow on that play because the Canadiens, to their credit, on that power play, and they'd been very, very predictable in the power plays up to that point. But that power play, they made 5 quick one-touch passes before the one-timer from Caulfield. So he did not have enough time to get across, to position himself for the save. And that was the difference there.
Yeah.
It was a different look on the power play. Normally you get the pass down low, pass back up high, pass over to Suzuki for a wrist shot from the top of the circle, or Caulfield slap shot from the top of the circle. But in this case, it was tick, 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 pass back and forth into the center, back to the wing, up to the post. You know, it was just the puck movement was sent in a different way, and and was done quicker.
Well, hopefully they can take that from this loss and say, hey, we have some positive. We finally scored after 23 attempts or 24 attempts or whatever it was.
Was it that few?
Yeah. It felt like a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But there was really not many bright spots in this game. It was, once again, it was their own faults or their own mistakes that led to their downfall. And you can bring up officiating again, and I will. It was we had one of the same officials from last night, Gordy Dwyer, that was calling this game, and he made some awful calls. The slash on Armia, or the slash call on Armia, which led to the first goal against, and then subsequently another quick goal from Klingberg that made it 2-0. And then
Now, I can kind of see that call. I mean, I understand making a quick decision on a play like that. You know, it's done. You know, it's a
the
fast game.
NHL has just gone so soft. Like, we see other games and we see other teams play, and guys are finishing checks, or guys are being rough in front of the net. Guys are doing whatever else. You do a stick on stick play, though. You lift a stick or you hit a stick, and all of a sudden it's an arm flies up. Like, I get they're trying to protect the players' hands and their wrists and everything like that. And this is mostly due to Johnny Gaudreau being hurt and taking the extra wax on the wrist, and Sidney Crosby blowing up Mark Mathod's finger. But
now,
it's getting to be too much.
I'm not disagreeing. And the point I was going to make, it was what I was trying to get to was, I can see that call. You know, it's not wholly unreasonable. It's not outside the realm of possibilities. I mean, I would rather they let shit like that go, but I can see that. However, the call on the high stick on Anderson,
That was bad
and
too.
calling it, not giving it a 4-minute, because he used some bullshit excuse of, well, he would have, he kind of caused it himself.
He caused it himself. Yeah. So even though his lip was bleeding, he's the one that caused Kulikov to high stick him. So
yeah.
So if that's the case, does Kulikov actually take a penalty? Because if he caused his own stick caused his stick to come up and hit him in the face, and it was all on Anderson, you can't call a 4, then why even give Kulikov a penalty? It's same thing as the embellishment penalty. If a guy falls down and he flops, was it really that big of a deal?
Well, on a flop, at least you can say there was something resembling a possible penalty in that. Right. But if you're flat out stating the player caused the high stick, that's not a high stick.
Yeah.
So clearly Dwyer,
it was what, holding and high stick.
He's called him for holding, as he got high sticked and he fell down.
Yeah.
He fell down over top of Kulikov's stick. But I mean, come on. Dwyer was still butthurt from being told the night before that he's full of shit.
Yeah, more than likely. And if we want to keep getting into that, we talked off air a little bit about the Hoffman goaltender interference, and this was another, momentum killing type. Just like the night before, there was a penalty in the final 5 minutes, and I think tonight was I don't remember exactly when that was called, but I believe it was
in the third,
final,
right after,
probably in the last 6 minutes or so on this one.
Yeah,
I'll say
somewhere around there, 6 to 8 minutes, maybe 10. But the reaction from St. Louis behind the bench after that call was made says everything. He just hung his head, covered his face, and shook his head,
right,
as if to say, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Yeah. And he was vocal. He was vocal after the game the other day in Ottawa. But
Yeah, well, not really.
he he
His
was without being vocal.
yeah,
Because you can't say a damn thing about officiating, or
nope.
you're gonna get fined, or the organization's gonna get fined, or whatever else, or it's kind of ridiculous. There's no accountability, and
No.
it's not the reason they lost the game, and it's the same.
Oh,
It's
absolutely not.
they could not string together anything. They could not do anything. They played 20 minutes, and we talked about this in our last show that it's kind of the Canadians' way. However, at least usually they put up an effort in the first. They're dismal in the second, and then it's like we're a whole different team, and we eat our Wheaties or whatever after the second period, and we're all over them in the third period. But they only showed up in the third today. And again, it was Cole Caulfield that came out, scored 2 goals. He's now got 18 on the season. Good on him. It's one of those bright lights of the season right now. Is the Habs youth. However, speaking of the youth, it was a Jordan Harris mishap in front of his own net, who accidentally made
Yeah,
accidental contact. I'm not going to say,
yeah.
obviously it wasn't intentional. Accidental contact as Klingberg was taking his shot. Allen never had a chance on it, and all of a sudden that's the game-winning goal.
What Harris was trying to do was get back into position in front of the net.
He was trying
And
to
when he
box.
was
He was
cutting
trying to
in,
box it out.
yeah, so he was cutting his way over to his spot after adjusting to cover off earlier, and he bumps into his D partner and then bumps Allen's foot, and it's a schmozzle.
Yeah.
But that one play, that one mistake, shouldn't take away from what I thought was a solid game from Harris.
I agree. He moved the puck. He moved the puck well in the third period. Other than that, nobody was moving the puck well.
Even in the first and second, he didn't play poorly. It was just, he get the puck out of the zone, and the forwards were just not in that spot, or nobody had their timing down. The pucks were just, I don't know what the hell was going on, but they were avoiding pucks as best they could.
Right.
I mean, it was just, but overall, I thought he played a fine game.
I'll bring this up because people were talking about it on social media. It is Jonathan Drouin. Drouin was hit or miss again tonight, but people are talking more about the miss than any of the hits.
I thought overall, he had a good game.
He moved the puck well on the power play.
Yeah.
He made, he's not a guy that bomb it off of a one-timer from the point, and he broke his stick on that. And yeah, blame the stick, but it's not a play that he should have made to begin with. But again, final bit of the game, empty net. You win the face-off. He tries to do too much, bobbles the puck. All of a sudden, it's behind you in the net. And then that was the dagger after that, and it's a 4-2 game. Right. And that's what people, and like, I'm not trying to shit on Drouin, but that's what people are talking about. That's what's bothering people right now. Like he showed some good skating tonight. He showed some good plays. He hit the post on right after Caulfield had tied it up. He showed some positives, and I'm liking that into his game. But people are only going to draw the negative out of it. And if this is the second game that we're talking about this consecutive game.
Here's the thing with Drouin. Any mistake,
he's going to be heavily
becomes
scrutinized.
Amplified.
Absolutely.
But when he did things proper, did things well, it was crickets in social media. Like he made a great toe drag play to recover the puck, and he threw it off the post earlier in the game.
Yeah. Not many people talked about that. I completely agree.
Not a word.
Yeah.
But the second something happened, the broken stick play. Oh my God, Drouin messed that up. It's a broken stick.
That's right. Can't blame him on that. He
was trying to get a shot on net.
Right. You can argue that he shouldn't have maybe made the play, but you can't blame the stick. Right.
he was trying to get a puck to the net at the end of a power play.
Right.
I mean, that was it. He was trying to rush a puck into the zone, try to create something, and the stick broke.
Right.
Nothing came of it. There was no breakaway from Anaheim. It was just, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
you're right. But
people are complaining.
Everything's gonna be magnified when it's Drouin.
Yes.
It's likely, very likely, his last season with the Canadiens.
Well, likely. It's almost, I would say 100%.
Right.
This is it.
Right. And they want to see him do well. They want to see him perform with them with the contract. Well, I think they do. I think they would like
Canadians do.
Right. I know the Canadians would love to see it. Right. But they're gonna be extra hard on this player. He's from Quebec. He's got a French last name. He speaks the language. They're gonna be extra tough on this guy. And so is social media.
Well, for the Canadians, there's always someone who's a scapegoat, no matter what, whether the team's good or bad.
Yeah.
There's always a scapegoat, and it's Drouin.
It's
been him for a few years.
Since he's shown up.
Yeah, and it's not because of him. It's because they hated the GM and they didn't like the trade he made to get Drouin. Not like it's Drouin that said, "I want you to trade this kid for me.
Right.
Make it happen."
Yep.
You know, so anytime he makes a mistake, they shit all over him. Anytime he does something well, crickets. Now, I'm not defending him to say that, oh my God, this guy's really good, but he's nowhere near as bad as he's being made out to be.
Right. So moving on from Drouin, we look at their next game. They're playing against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So the tough matchup. This is a team that for the last few seasons has just been a powerhouse, and they find ways to win. They find ways to score. Vasilevsky comes up big. He's having a little bit of a below average season for his statistics, but you look up and down the roster and they're quite stacked, and they always usually play the Canadians pretty tough. So I'll ask you, do they go with Allen? Do they go with Montembeault against Tampa, knowing that your next game is going to be against Arizona on Monday?
Honestly, I would go with Allen in that game. It's a couple of days in between, like there's a full day in between. So, you play Saturday night against Tampa, got a day off in between. Allen can play, and then you can put Montembeault in net against Arizona.
Right.
Arizona's a weaker team of the two, clearly. So you'd want to have Allen there. People complain that Allen didn't have a great game tonight, but he did keep them in the game early. So
he did. And again, like Montembeault the night before, let in a softie.
Yeah.
Right. The other two, we didn't really have much of a chance. One player was when Terry scored on the power play, he didn't have anywhere to go. It was literally right on top of him. And the other Klingberg goal, he got clipped by his own player.
Yeah.
Right. And then with
those last two goals that Anaheim scored were all his fault.
Oh, absolutely.
He was nowhere near the puck.
He's nowhere near the puck. Just sitting on the bench. But I did notice that there was quite a few pucks that got by him tonight, whether he saw them or not. There were multiple posts. So either there was one where he was scrambling where I was like, son of a bitch, there's the winner. But there were a few that got by him tonight. They hit the post, and Allen's the guy. Allen's the guy moving forward as of right now. He was given the contract extension. Montembeault's got two. Well, he's on a 2-year deal or 3-year deal. 3-year deal.
2 this year and next.
Right. So that's looking like the tandem for probably the next couple seasons.
At least until at the end of next season.
Right. So Team Tank's happy with this one. I'll give them that. They've now lost three out of their last 4 games.
Yeah. But back to Allen a little bit though. I think you were on to something. He was trying to do as much as he could, and he was scrambling, and that's why pucks were getting through him, hitting posts. He wasn't in his positioning wasn't the best. I mean, he did his best, but his positioning was a little bit off. but he's really, I think people are putting too much, are expecting too much out of the goaltending.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
It's Jake Allen, who is a very good 1B,
Yep.
but he's a 1B. He's more backup than starter.
At
And
this
then the
at this
Sam
phase in his
Montembeault.
career, yes.
Yeah. And Sam Montembeault, who, I mean, for a few games was being touted as the next Jacques Plante, but let's be honest.
Yeah, he's
He's
coming back to reality.
And that's the thing. My expectation before the season started was that Montembeault would have a save percentage of about 895 and Allen would be about 905. And despite the fact that they had a great start, they're coming down to earth. And I think they're going to even out to close to their career averages.
Right.
So people's standard, they've been spoiled. They've had Carey Price with the Canadians for 15 years.
Right.
And now they have to rely on Allen and Montembeault.
Yeah. But you look at Montembeault, I just threw up his stats right now for the starts that he's made. So this season, in his first 4 starts, he didn't go below 917 for an average. Then he had an 821. Then he was 968, 938. Then he had that stinker against Vancouver, which I do not want to talk about, which was a 781. He had a 9, and then he had a 903 in his last start. And his season average is 908 with a 2.98 goals against. Right.
Okay.
So he's still, for a backup, you're still looking at decent numbers. But everything's going to be amplified because it's Montreal. And they don't have that true number one anymore. And as you said, they've been so used to having Carey Price being out there sealing games for them. They don't have that anymore. They don't have that reliance on their goaltending anymore. And that's something they're going to have to learn to live with it.
Exactly. You're not going to have all world goaltending, and you're in a rebuild. So the team is going to give up more goals than expected. And this weekend, they're going into play a game against Tampa Bay, who are one of the league leaders in expected goals for. They hover around 75 to 80% expected goals for, which I think is 3rd or 4th in the NHL.
That's probably pretty high.
and they're stacked with star power.
They are.
They're experienced. They have several cup rings amongst them.
Yeah.
So you're in tough. And if the Canadians can make it a game where they keep it within a goal, they make it entertaining, then it's a moral victory.
Right.
But it's still a loss, but it's a moral victory. You can take that and say, look, we played like shit the last 2 games, but then we go up against a perennial cup contender and we showed them that we can hang with them. So it can build their confidence.
Right. So Tampa right now, 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're on a 3-game winning streak. And they're going to look at the Canadians and say, these guys are below us. We want our 2, we want our 2 points. Because currently right now, they've played the same amount of games as Boston. They're 10, but they're 10 points behind. The Leafs have played 3 extra games and they're 7 points ahead. Right. So that kind of makes, obviously with the differential, but they're going to look at the Canadians and they're going to say, we want to go in there. We want to come out flying. So actually Tampa won tonight, I believe. So now they're 8-2 in their last 10 with a 4-game win streak.
Yeah. They're not a team that's looking to win the division. They don't care about the regular season beyond let's make the playoffs.
Right.
That being said, they know they know that they're a few points back, so they know they have to keep pace. So you're going to see a team, especially a team that they won their last Stanley Cup against the Canadians.
Right.
There's a little bit of an animosity there between the 2 teams. So they're going to bring a little extra.
Right. The Canadians right now are 5 points out of a wild card spot and 9 points out of a divisional spot,
which is above where we all expected them to be at this point
True.
of the year.
True.
Even the Ottawa Senators are surprised.
Right.
By
Montreal
where
right
the
now,
Canadiens are.
14-14-2.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a 500 team. But I don't think they should be.
No, they probably shouldn't be. They've beat some teams they shouldn't have beaten. They've lost to some teams they shouldn't have lost to. We can say that we can say that about Vancouver. We can say that about Ottawa. We can say that about Anaheim, etc.
Yeah.
But we can also say that about the 2 times they beat Calgary.
It's
Right,
it's like 2 different teams.
Yeah,
Where's that Calgary team?
Yeah. Yeah. I love
God.
I'd love to just see some consistency from this team.
With the games against the Flames, what you saw was a team that was just firing on all cylinders. There was only 3 goals in the game in both of those games, but it was a fun game to watch. Even if the Canadiens would have lost those 2 games, playing that way, if they would play like that all season long, this team would be in the playoffs. But they're not. So it's that inconsistency that kind of highlights the rebuild.
I'm quickly checking to see if Florida ended up hanging on to that or they lost.
God, I hope they lost.
And they lost to Pittsburgh tonight 4-2.
Thank you, Sid.
Honestly, Florida's played 1 more game than Montreal, and they've only got 2 more points. So right now, both teams are on the outside looking in, which bodes well for Team Tank. I am Team Panther Tank, 100%. 100%. You fucking lose every game, I will be happy. Like, let's get a top 3 pick for Ben Sherratt.
Is that a TLC show like MILF Island? It's Panther Tank.
Hey, I've already put my application in to be on that island. So.
I don't blame you. I want to see the Panthers completely collapse. I mean, it'd be fun for the Canadiens.
And for me, it's not even the fact that they have their first overall pick or their first round pick. It's the fact that they traded a Jack Adams finalist, or they got rid of a Jack Adams finalist. And they brought in another coach, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, like we're really not, we can't string wins together. Yeah.
Well, they're trying to they put their team together like it was an NHL 22 team. We're going to get rid of these 2 guys, but we brought in these 2 guys. We'll just plug them right in. No problems. Yeah. You lost the coach. You've changed the room. You've changed the dynamic in the room. You don't have the same makeup of the roster because they did, because of the cap, had to get rid of some other guys. So yeah. They're not quite where they were before. I think they'll end up in the playoffs, but if they don't, and somehow that pick turns into the lottery pick that wins,
yeah,
I think there's going to be a parade for Hughes at that point.
I think so. And you know what? I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I honestly don't, because right now you've got New Jersey, who just is there. Other than the last 4 games, which they were on a 4-game slide right now, they've been on quite a tear this season. They're 21-7-2. You got Carolina, who's going to be a playoff team. You've got Pittsburgh, who now won 7 games in a row, that are a veteran team. Then you've got Boston, Toronto, and Tampa within their own division. They're not going to pass any of those teams. Then you've got the New York Rangers, the Islanders, and you've got the Washington Capitals. And once they get healthy, they're going to go on a tear as well. And they're going to want to get Ovi the puck as much as possible so he can get closer to Gretzky. So I do not see Florida as a playoff team. And I'm hoping to God that Ben Sherratt turns into a high pick.
Speaking of Ben Sherratt,
I
you
will
cannot
love that.
forget.
I will love that trade tree.
Yes.
Move over Craig Rivet.
Speaking of Sherratt, though, you can't forget the Red Wings in this. They're a bubble team. They could factor in and take a few more points off of the
Yeah,
Florida Panthers.
that's right.
I'm not saying they'll make the playoffs. I'm just saying that because they're actually a pretty good team, they can win a few more games.
Yeah.
And the Canadians are going to be going on this road trip, their normal post-Christmas road trip, and they will play Florida.
Yep.
The best case scenario, because one of those teams is going to have to win. Sorry, Team Tank. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But the best case scenario is that one of the two teams win in regulation.
Right.
Because you don't want to add more points.
That's right.
So that's probably the perfect scenario for Team Tank.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? That's one game I think Team Tank will be cheering for the Canadians to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter one way or the other.
The thing is, it'll feel that
or...
much better if the Florida pick ends up being higher, and obviously we're looking into the future, but if the Florida pick ends up being higher than the Montreal pick, then yes, it's going to be a huge. And it's already looking like a home run for Hughes.
Yes,
very much so. But it's going to be like a grand slam for Hughes if it ends up, especially if it turns into a top 10 pick. Like, come on, that'd be amazing.
As long as the Canadians get a top 10 pick out of the 2 picks that they hold currently.
Yeah.
And if Panthers miss the playoffs, that's a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
So that would be 2 great picks, because you're looking at you look at the 2023 draft board. There are so many really good players available all the way through to the end of the first.
Yeah. Very forward heavy draft in the top 15.
Yes.
Very forward heavy.
And what do the Canadians need most of all? Scoring. They need scoring. Skill. Well, that's exactly what this draft is. It's all skillful scoring up top.
Yeah.
Not a lot of defense in there. I think you might find 2 or 3 defensemen in the first round.
Yeah, probably in the top 20, at least on the top 20. You're probably looking at about 3, maybe 3, 4 defensemen at best. Depending on team needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might get one in the top 15.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But with the sheer number of forwards and the skill at forward that's available in this draft, he'd be hard pressed to pick a defenseman over a forward in that top 15.
Yeah. And I think they're going to look for, like, obviously you're going to look probably best player available, but I can see them doing a forward heavy draft.
Now, this is just for fun, and I'm looking into my boxing rock crystal ball. My puck off Lauderdale crystal ball. All right, I'm looking ahead to the draft in Nashville. Okay, I see Michkov sliding.
Yeah,
I see Michkov sliding. He ends up at the Florida Panthers pick, and the Canadians get Michkov.
Wouldn't that be something?
You've heard it here first.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? I see him as I see other guys moving up, and like I know we're getting a little bit off of Canadians talk now, kind of, but I can see him sliding. Once of all, you've got the Russian factor there, and you've got other guys that are starting to step up. A guy like Will Smith with the U18 National Development Program, the U.S. National Development Program. All right, like I hope.
I'm just getting jiggy with it here. Sorry. I'm going to keep. All right, I'll just keep his name out my mouth for now.
But it's true. You're looking at some very decent picks for the Canadians right now. If a lot of centers, yes, yeah.
Which is another area of concern for the Canadians is skilled centers.
Yeah, like obviously, would it be nice if Montreal walked away with 1-2? Absolutely. You walk in with Bedard and Fantilli, and then there's a parade walking out, right? But it probably isn't going to happen. Let's just say that. I'd love to say you heard it here first on that, but
yeah,
if they can have two picks in the top 15, that's, and either they use one and flip the other one for immediate help, we'll see what happens. I can see them, but they're probably going to look for a third pick anyway.
Yes, they're clearly looking for a third pick. Hughes has even said it. But if they do pick one too, just to make our friend Grant McCagg happy, hey Grant, they'll pick Fantilli first, just to mess with people.
Yeah. Yeah. If they get one. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 and 2. Like, we're gonna go with Fantilli.
Yeah. Just to screw with everybody.
Just to see how Bedard stares them down.
Yeah.
They're like, just kidding. We got you too, buddy.
Yeah. And then all you hear just before is like, we have a trade. And it's just like, it's like Arizona picking up a contract or something. You're like, really? You had to announce that right now.
Or it's a trade with the Canadians where they trade up for that third pick they picked up. They trade up.
Yeah.
So it's just the Canadians messing with people. And we have a trade to announce with the Canadians. Oh no.
Yeah.
We're kind of falling off here. We're a little giddy. It's late. It's post game,
Hey, we got to try to find some positives to talk about after that shit game, right? So the future is positive. We got some good things coming. That's for sure. And check out friend of the show Craig Buttons. It was his core 4 is what he called it, and it was players under 24. Montreal ranked 4th in the league, which is incredible. So definitely go out there, go to tsn.ca and check that out.
Hey, Craig, stop taking all our ideas, man.
I'm just happy to call him friend of the show.
True.
Yeah.
You should come back.
He will. We'll get him on.
We'll just tell him, yeah, Craig's not here, man. Come on back. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for us. Did you have anything to announce or talk about at the end?
As of right now, I got nothing. I got 2 more days of work and then I'm home for the holidays. So I'm just counting down the days to fly back to the East Coast and eat donairs and see my family and just enjoy the holidays. So looking forward to
it. When you do come back and go for the donairs, please avoid the Christmas donair from King of Donair. I mean, I love them. I love King of Donair, but throwing gravy and stuffing and cranberry sauce on the donair, it just seems wrong.
Sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, it'll be a challenge, all right. It'll be challenging the porcelain in my bathroom.
Yeah.
But for me, I just want to, again, thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for interacting with us. And keep in mind now that there's a billionaire who's deciding to destroy Twitter just for fun, that we're found on all other social media as well. Here at YouTube, TikTok, Mastodon, Tribal, I don't know, Post News. There's all kinds of new and exciting social media platforms coming. We're still on Facebook because, we got to talk to our grandparents.
But the most important thing there is, if you're on these platforms, give us a follow, give us a like. If you like our content, give us 5 stars, etc. Right? Like we see this stuff and we appreciate it, and it makes us come back for more. And we've very much enjoyed jumping onto the Megaphone platform, and it's kind of opened some new tools to us, and we're hoping that we can bring some more content for you guys, get some more people on the show that you want to see us bring back, or maybe a new guest here and there. And it's just an exciting time. And right now, the Canadians are playing more competitive hockey. We didn't see that tonight, unfortunately. However, as Blaine alluded to earlier in the show, they're playing better than what we expected at the start of the season. The future is bright in Montreal. We saw the high when they went to the Cup final. We saw the low when they picked Slavkovsky number 1, and not that because of that, but right, don't take that sound bit from me.
That didn't sound right.
Right? Yeah. But going from, what I mean, going from Cup final to first overall pick the next year is a downer. But we're very excited where this podcast is going. We're excited where the team's going. I know, Blaine, you're excited about the World Juniors. You're going to see some fantastic hockey in Halifax. So, again, guys, make sure that you're following. Make sure you're following all of our accounts, because we get around when it comes to sports. We get around when it comes to hockey and everything, right? So we want to share that with you guys, and we don't always get to have the opportunity to get it out to the Habs Unfiltered account. So make sure you're following us as well. I know, Blaine, you do a hell of a lot with minor hockey. Treg's all over the place with junior hockey and just going to the occasional game here and there. And then I just kind of show up places sometimes, and and my social media's got full of pictures, right? So it's an exciting times ahead for the Canadians and for our podcast.
Yeah. So again, please like, subscribe, share, and remember, if you're talking about it, so are we. And to our friends on YouTube, thank you for watching. I think it was 5, no, 20. No, 2. But thanks for watching, and yeah, let's get this rolling. Let's make this bigger, because we want to be able to pay for stuff.
So we can give stuff away.
That's right. We will have giveaways. This is exclusive to YouTube. We will have a jersey giveaway sometime in the new year. Shh. Just tell everybody. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next show, hopefully this weekend.